Hello, hello, hello. My name is Steven, and this is the Weekly Cut, where I stay up to date on movie news so you don't have to. First of all, I hope everyone listening had a happy Halloween and watched lots of horror movies. And as always, thank you for listening. Let's jump into today's show with box office. This past weekend, Jigsaw made $16 million, which is the franchise's second lowest opening. Saw 6 made $14 million opening weekend, and Saw 3D made, which was billed as the final chapter, obviously not, that made $22 million. So $14 million, then $16 million, and then the original Saw made $18 million its opening weekend, and then it went on to gross $55 million. So Jigsaw's off to a slow start right now. I'm wondering, with the very bad critical reviews and low box office, if there will be a Jigsaw 2. And also, if there is going to be a Jigsaw 2, is it going to be called Jigsaw 2? And are they just going to go along the same route as the other Saw original movies? So number 2 at the box office was Boo 2, A Madea Halloween, with $10 million. That has grossed $38 million worldwide so far. Geostorm made $5.6 million. Happy Death Day came in number 4 with $5 million. The Blumhouse model obviously works with making low budget movies, like Happy Death Day was made for $4.8 million, and it has grossed so far $50 million. So Blumhouse is just raking up the money. And then number 5, Blade Runner 2049 made $3.9 million last weekend. Let me see. It has grossed $83 million domestically, and 150 is what its budget was. 150 million. It has made 83 million. That's absolutely bad. That's terrible. It's made 141 million worldwide. Foreign, bringing the total up to 224 million worldwide. Yeah, Warner Brothers cannot be happy about this, but maybe since it's gotten such great critical reviews, maybe there's room for there to be Oscars. I think I talked about that on 2 weeks ago's show. And a report from The Hollywood Reporter says that this was the worst October at the box office in a decade, and this month's total box office won't even crack 560 million, which sounds like a lot, but that's very bad. Let's move on to just general news. MoviePass, in a Reddit post, it was announced that if you cancel your MoviePass subscription, you may not subscribe to the service again for a period of 9 months. This is obviously a scare tactic to keep people from thinking twice about canceling their MoviePass. You're paying such low rates for MoviePass at $9.95 a month, which is cheaper than Netflix at $9.99 a month by 4 cents, but still cheaper. You're paying $9.95 a month for MoviePass. You have to remember to keep using it and get your money's worth, and then you won't have to unsubscribe. Or really, you could just give the card to someone else, and then they can use it, like your significant other or your parents or a friend or something like that, so then they can get use out of it. Following some allegations, some sexual assault allegations with Brett Ratner, the Hugh Hefner biopic that was supposed to be starring Jared Leto as Hugh Hefner has been put on hold. like I said when I first announced this, I was pretty interested in the concept of this movie. I like Jared Leto as an actor, and I think it would be cool to find out more about Hugh Hefner's younger life, because I don't really know anything. But I mean, this makes sense since 6 women accused Brett Ratner of sexual harassment and misconduct. So it makes sense. I know that Warner Brothers has cut all of their ties to Brett Ratner. And yeah, like I said, just makes sense. So Disney announced that Beyonce is going to be officially playing Nala in the live-action remake of The Lion King. So now this cast is totally stacked. You have Donald Glover as Simba. You have James Earl Jones returning as Mufasa. You have Chiwetel Ejiofor for Scar. Let's see. You got John Oliver for Zuzu. You got Seth Rogen as Puma. You got Keegan-Michael Key as Kamari. Yeah, I mean, this cast is huge. And this movie will be huge. It's coming out in the official release date is July 19th, 2019. And Hans Zimmer coming back. That's pretty. I'm not sure what I think about that. Because it seems like he's a different composer now than he was when The Lion King was first released. Obviously he's done huge scale movies for Christopher Nolan, and then he's done a lot of DCEU music. So I'm wondering if he's going to be incorporating a lot of his old score into this new movie, or if he's going to scrap it all and do a completely new one, or what. But yeah, that's pretty cool. Let me see what else is next. Okay. Tyrese issues a Fast 9 ultimatum. He released on his Instagram page that basically he's not going to do Fast 9 if let me use his words exactly. He says, hello world, hello loyal fans and loved ones from our Fast universe. I'm sorry to announce that if Dwayne The Rock Johnson is in Fast 9, there will be no Roman Pierce. Yeah, so recently in the past couple months, there's been a back and forth feud between Tyrese and The Rock. Tyrese got mad because Dwayne is going to be doing a Hobbs and Shaw spinoff, which is supposedly going to be directed by Shane Black of The Nice Guys. And that put on a delay for Fast 9, and it delayed it to, I think, April 2019. I'm pretty sure that's the date. Let me just double check on that. But yeah, I mean, he's gotten mad, and there's reasons to be mad, but for you to completely withdraw yourself from the movie, and then, I don't know, I don't think this feud should be worth it for him to lose out on a paycheck, lose out on being in this franchise. I mean, he really doesn't have anything else going for him, acting-wise, that I know of. So I think that's just stupid. You should just stay in the movie, regardless of when it's going to shoot and whatever beef you have with them. Because allegedly there was a beef between Vin Diesel and The Rock on the set of Fast 8. And look, I mean, that movie still came out, and you don't hear anything about that anymore, but now you have a new feud. So, I don't know, a lot of controversy surrounding this movie for some reason. A new picture came out, an unofficial picture came out of Ryan Gosling as Neil Armstrong for Damien Chazelle's next movie, First Man. Damien Chazelle, if you don't know that name, he directed Whiplash and La La Land, which came out last year. First Man is a look at the life of the astronaut Neil Armstrong and the legendary space mission that led him to become the first man to walk on the moon on July 20th, 1969. I'm very interested in this movie. I mean, Damien Chazelle, obviously, I can't say enough about him. He's an amazing screenwriter and director, and if you've seen La La Land or Whiplash, you know that. But yeah, I mean, a Neil Armstrong biopic, that sounds pretty cool. I believe that John Bernthal, who you may know as the Punisher, he is going to be, he's going to be in the movie as well. He's playing Dave Scott. Corey Stoll, who is in House of Cards, I believe, and he was in Ant-Man. He's going to be playing Buzz Aldrin. Excuse me. So yeah, you have that to look forward to. But in this picture, it's just kind of shows. It's just, I don't know. It's just Ryan Gosling. He doesn't look any different. It's not. He just has on like old timey clothes, I guess. Nothing spectacular, but I mean that this picture just is significant because it shows that the movie's in production and this is his next movie, because he has a lot of movies on his docket that he has announced that he's going to be directing. What's next? Okay, so a study has come out that less than 5% of television writers are black. 65% of writing rooms have 0 black writers. That is insane. That is just, oh my gosh, that's just crazy. I don't see how this is still a thing. I mean, people say that there shouldn't be diversity just for diversity's sake. And I guess I kind of get that, but to not for there to be less than 5% of TV writers to be black, that's crazy. Just I don't know. That's just sad. Let's move on. So Annabelle creation star Grace Fulton is in negotiations to join Shazam. I talked about Shazam last week at the end of my show. That was when Zachary Levi was announced as Shazam. She was in Annabelle creation, yeah. And I remember one scene in particular involving a scarecrow that she was very, very, very good in. Obviously, this is the same director as Annabelle creation, David F. Sandberg, who is going to be directing Shazam. So this makes sense. The report says that Fulton will be playing one of Billy Batson's friends, who is Billy Batson is Shazam. And then also some more Shazam news. Mark Strong is in talks for the villain role. It's crazy because Mark Strong is just, he can't stay away from comic book movies. He was in Kingsman, and he was in Kingsman: The Golden Circle. He was in Kick-Ass, and then he played the villain in Green Lantern. So he's, I guess he just loves his comic book movies and comic book roles. The only movie that I can remember him being in that wasn't a comic book movie is The Brothers Grimsby, which kind of makes sense for him to stay in the comic book movie world because Brothers Grimsby wasn't good. In an article from Forbes, it was announced that Wonder Woman is now the highest grossing superhero origin film. It surpassed Sam Raimi's Spider-Man from 2002. Captain Marvel, starring Brie Larson as Captain Marvel, that is reportedly going to begin filming in February of 2018, and is set to premiere March 8th, 2019. Bloody Disgusting says that horror movies have made over $1 billion this year. With 2 months remaining, 2017 has already become the biggest box office year ever for horror. We have Andy Muschietti's It, which has made $324 million, and it has made $666 million worldwide. And then we have Get Out, which made $175 million domestically, and Split, another Blumhouse movie, made $138 million domestically. Annabelle Creation, $102 million domestically. All of these huge names, and even with like how Jigsaw's box office has kind of been lackluster, that's made $18 million so far, and that could go on if that has the legs to make more money. Even though Halloween's over, that could just boost up this total box office for horror. And then, like I said, Happy Death Days made a lot of money for Blumhouse. So yeah, very big year for horror. Staying with horror, Pet Sematary is going to be getting remade by the directors of Starry Eyes. Now, I have not seen Starry Eyes yet. I believe it is on Netflix, so I'll probably watch that this weekend. Taika Waititi has confirmed that his sequel for his movie What We Do in the Shadows is going to be called Werewolves. It's called Werewolves, not werewolves. Werewolves. WE''RE space wolves. And if you've seen What We Do in the Shadows, you'll get that joke. But Waititi is reuniting with his Flight of the Conchords star and creator Jem and Clementine to co-direct and co-write that movie, and I think that could be very good. I think that is the perfect. I think that's the perfect team to make this sequel, and I am definitely interested in seeing this movie. Even though I didn't love What We Do in the Shadows, I think the premise was very good and very well executed, and I'm very interested to see where this werewolves sequel goes. Because if you just look up online What We Do in the Shadows werewolf scene, it's pretty funny. This isn't really movie news, but I just want to touch on this briefly. It was announced that Jordan Peele is involved with a reboot of The Twilight Zone. That's going to be for CBS All Access, which, from what I can recall, the only movie that they have on CBS All Access is the Star Trek reboot, Star Trek Discovery. CBS All Access is a streaming service, and it's paid. There's a paywall. So I think, depending on how involved he is with it, how involved Jordan Peele is with the series, that determines how intrigued I am by this. I'm already intrigued by this idea, but that just depends on if I'm going to pay for CBS All Access to watch it. Like if Jordan Peele does, if he was to direct and write the whole first season of this reboot series, then I would totally watch it. I'd pay for it. No, hands down. I mean, not reading any reviews or anything. I would get CBS All Access for the month or year. I'm not sure what the subscription service is. And I would totally get it because that sounds interesting. That sounds really cool. So Kathleen Kennedy says that Lucasfilm is planning the next 10 years of Star Wars movies. It was announced like earlier this year that from the CEO of Disney, Bob Iger, that they planned on making Star Wars movies for the foreseeable future. Basically, I'm pretty sure he said forever. And I guess, I mean, this makes sense, but come on. There's a point where you have to stop. It just seems, I don't know. I mean, obviously, Star Wars is a huge name. Everyone in the world knows what Star Wars is. But I don't know. I mean, my problem is most of the Star Wars movies are the same, and that's one of the reasons why I was so shocked. And well, I wasn't really shocked. That's one of the reasons why I was so disappointed when I heard about Phil Lord and Chris Miller, who got kicked off of Solo, A Star Wars Story. It didn't really shock me, but I mean, Phil Lord and Chris Miller, they are very different filmmakers. They have their own style with 21 and 22 Jump Street and the Lego Movie. They have their own style, and they're very comedic in that style. Star Wars is not. It's jokey and it's like family oriented in tone, but it's not full out. There hasn't been a full out comedic movie for Star Wars, and apparently that's what Kathleen Kennedy saw that they were getting with Solo, A Star Wars Story, and so that's why they got fired. And then they brought on Ron Howard to do the reshoots, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. They brought him on to do the reshoots, and Ron Howard is just a very safe name for the reshoots. And all of the movies for the Star Wars franchise, since it has been rebooted, and that's what The Force Awakens was. It was a reboot. All of them, besides The Force Awakens, have had problems that we've heard about. Like Rogue One, that was the director got they had to do reshoots. They had to bring in another director and writer to do reshoots on that movie. Extensive reshoots apparently. And then with episode 8, no. Episode 8, there wasn't any problems either. But with episode 9, that was supposed to be Colin Trevorrow's movie to be directing, who directed Jurassic World, and also Safety Not Guaranteed in the Book of Henry. He got kicked off of that project, and now J.J. Abrams is directing that movie. So it just seems like, Kathleen Kennedy, who is the head of Lucasfilm, she's in the business of making very safe choices. But if any brand can make unsafe choices and take a risk with their franchise, it's Star Wars. Everyone will go see a Star Wars movie because it is titled Star Wars. So you can try new things. You can have a lower budget. You can have a comedic movie about Han Solo. It's just terrible that we have to have these safe movies come out that are basically all the same. And Everyone will go see them because they're titled Star Wars. They have an opportunity to do something new and fresh with their franchise, but they won't because they want to keep raking in the billions of dollars. And I get it. It's from a business point of view. You want to, I mean, it just seems like they don't want directors. They want template directors, which is what it seems like for Disney in general, with specifically with Marvel, because all of their movies pretty much feel the same too, just with different directors. And I know people will probably say, but Guardians of the Galaxy was so different and so kooky and crazy, but was it? It really wasn't. It was different, but not that much different. It wasn't it was still a safe guarantee at that point. It's not like they tried to launch the Marvel Cinematic Universe with Guardians of the Galaxy. Now that would have been a risk. But at that point of Guardians of the Galaxy being released, it wasn't a risk. Marvel knew that everyone was going to go see that movie because Marvel was the brand on it. Sorry for that rant. Let's stay in Star Wars news. So Disney places huge demands on cinemas that want to show Star Wars: The Last Jedi. Disney says that they are plucking 65% of the ticket sales for The Last Jedi, which is huge, because theaters aren't supposed to, they are supposed to get more of that money. And I don't know, it's just, oh my gosh, Disney, you already make so much money. Why do you need so much more money? Why are you taking money from other corporations and other companies when you already make billions a year? You already know that the Last Jedi is going to make at least $1 billion. So why are you trying to make more money and capitalize off of it? I mean, I know it's because you can, but just because you can doesn't mean you should. Just stop. Disney needs to stop bullying other companies. On the latest episode of Star Wars News Net's The Resistance broadcast, they claim to have inside sources that are saying that Ron Howard reshot, quote, nearly all of Solo, A Star Wars Story, for possibly, quote, twice the budget. And the inside report claims that an estimated 80% or more of the spinoff was reshot by Ron Howard. Obviously, you can't really claim or vouch. I can't really claim or vouch for the reliability of this website, but if this is true, this is just awful. This is terrible. Okay, so Slash Film, they looked into this and they just presented the facts based off of this rumor. So filming for Han Solo, for Solo, I'm just gonna call it Solo from now on. I'm not gonna say the whole title every time. So the filming for Solo by Lord and Miller, that began on January 30th of this year. And on June 20th, Lucasfilm and Lord and Miller cited creative differences and they decided to part ways. And then there was a brief hiatus. So it stood that Lord and Miller shot for just over 4 months on the movie. And when Lord and Miller exited the project, it was announced that Ron Howard came in and he was hired to shoot the remaining 3.5 weeks of scheduled principal photography, as well as a now scheduled 5 weeks of reshoots. So on the first day of set, Ron Howard posted a picture And that was on June 29th, 2017. And then on the 18th of October, he announced that the production had wrapped. So Howard was filming for almost 4 months, the same length almost as Lord and Miller. Lord and Miller shot for just over 4 months, and Howard shot for 4 months. And that's also the same time that it took to film Thor Ragnarok. So, with this being said, so Rogue One had a budget of, I believe it was 200 million. I'm double checking. Rogue One had a budget of 200 million. And I'm guessing that Solo had a budget of 200 million as well. Let's just say that. That's not confirmed, but let's just go with it. So if Ron Howard shot basically a brand new movie with the same actors and everything, but it was a brand new movie, he was supposed to shoot the remaining 3.5 weeks of scheduled principal photography and then 5 weeks of reshoots. But he shot 4 months, almost 4 months, the same length as Lord and Miller, and the same length as Thor Ragnarok. That's a brand new movie, which brings the total to $400 million. That is insane. $400 million for one movie, just because you wanted to throw Lord and Miller off the project? That is insane. Oh my gosh. You really could have just kept them on and released the movie, and you still would have made so much more money. Oh my gosh. I mean, no matter how bad the movie would have been in their minds, I don't know why they thought that this was a good idea, to have him reshoot the entire movie. And now they cost $400 million when they could have just kept them on, when they could have just kept Lord and Miller on. No matter how bad the creative differences were, you could have just kept them on the project for the 3.5 weeks, let them finish the movie, release it, and you still would have. It's Star Wars. It would have made $1 billion. It would have made at least $500,000 domestically, just like every single Star Wars movie has made. Rogue One made $532 million domestically. You could have kept them on the project and just bit the bullet, and you would have at least made the production budget back. Not talking about marketing or anything, which probably would have cost them $400 million to market, because if you don't know, then the marketing budget for most movies is at least half its budget. It's at least its budget. So now now Solo is looking at a production budget of $400 million, and then probably $200 million in marketing. So that's $600 million. And I know Disney has the money, but you could have just saved all yourselves the heartache and all this money problems, and just kept Lord and Miller on the project. It was, you guys, Kathleen Kennedy really needed that much control, and there was really that many problems that Lord and Miller couldn't make their stylistic, somewhat comedic movie, and you couldn't just produce that and distribute it. That's disgusting. That is absolutely, I just can't. I mean, that's insane. Just keep them on the project, release the movie. I want to see what their 80% of the movie that they shot looks like. I mean, I know we'll never get that. There's no way that that Lucasfilm would ever release that as like a bonus on the on the Blu-ray or something. But oh my gosh, that is just insane. $400 million is basically what the production budget is on Solo, because they had to shoot a whole new movie because they wanted to keep it safe and they didn't want to ruin the brand of Star Wars, which I say ruin the brand of Star Wars because that's what they probably thought it would do. But let me just see. Let me pull up Phil Lord and Chris Miller's box office. Let's see. 21 Jump Street, $42 million budget, $138 million domestically. 22 Jump Street, 22 Jump Street, $50 million with budget, almost $200 million domestically, $191 million to be exact. And then the Lego Movie, $60 million budget, $257 million domestically. So all of the movies have at least made their money back, have at least made their budget back. And then obviously this is a Star Wars movie. So it's going to make, like I said, it's going to make at least $500 million domestically because all of them have, and it's Star Wars. I don't even love Star Wars as much as the next guy, but I was genuinely excited about this movie because it's Phil Lord and Chris Miller, and they're great filmmakers. And I wanted to see something new and fresh done in the Star Wars genre. I mean, in the Star Wars franchise, but I'm not getting that anymore. All right. Done with the rant. Done with the Star Wars rant. I'm going to move on to another project that I feel passionately about. And that's Black Klansman, the next Spike Lee movie with Jordan Peele as a producer. I talked about this last week when they added Adam Driver and Spider-Man Homecoming actress to the cast. Now they added Corey Hawkins to the cast. And you may know Corey Hawkins from Straight Outta Compton. He who played he who played Dr. Dre. And then he starred in the TV reboot of 24. And he was recently nominated for a Tony for his work in the play 6 Degrees of Separation. This cast just keeps getting better and better. I mean, and Corey Hawkins was in Kong Skull Island. He did an all right job with that, which is a pretty good movie, and you should watch it if you haven't seen it. But yeah, so Black Klansman, I'm super excited about this movie. I said it last week. It is what sounds like my next favorite movie. You got Jordan Peele, and then this amazing true story about a black detective who joined the local chapter of the KKK, who went undercover to gather intelligence about the hate group. That sounds very exciting. It's going to be a crime thriller, and I can't wait to see it. Corey Hawkins is a great name to add to the movie. He did excellent as Dr. Dre in Straight Outta Compton, which you should also see if you haven't seen it. So the next piece of news is that Michael B. Jordan, of course, will be back in the ring for Creed 2, which is going to be hitting theaters next year, basically a year from now, exactly a year from now, November 21st, 2018. Sylvester Stallone is going to be writing and directing this movie since Ryan Coogler is not going to be back. He's moved on to bigger and better things with like Black Panther, and then I'm not sure exactly what his next project is going to be after that. But I'm glad that the movie is staying with a new with a recognizable name as a director. Sylvester Stallone He directed Rocky Balboa, and obviously he plays Rocky. To see him be back for Creed 2, as a director and actor and a writer makes me excited. Creed 2 was a very good movie that came out in 2015. It came out around the same date, around Thanksgiving, then too, and I think it made a lot of money. So like I said, this news is very exciting. To see that it actually has a release date. I'm not sure exactly when the movie is filming or if it has started filming. But yeah. Let's see. Move on to trailers. The Disaster Artist trailer 2 came out. It has a very different tone from the first trailer, but it, all in all, a good trailer. It's the first teaser trailer was kind of comedic, playing out the comedic bits of the movie. This one's more like heartfelt and like inspirational, I guess. It's gotten a lot of buzz out of the film festivals. I'm very excited to see it. It comes out in December around Christmas time. Hopefully it's gonna get some Oscar consideration. I hear that James Franco is very good in the movie, playing Tommy Wiseau, the director of The Room. Still haven't seen The Room yet. From what I've read from Jeff Snyder of the Tracking Board, he says that you don't have to have seen the movie The Room to watch and get this movie, because he says that he hasn't seen The Room yet. Jumping back to some horror movie news that I didn't discuss earlier. It has been released from Warner Brothers as an Oscar contender. It's now going to be played for an Oscar campaign for Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Director, and Best Picture. I think this is very... I'm not sure. I think this is very good for the horror genre, and obviously this would make a lot more eyeballs go to the Oscars as an award show, because it obviously was a very popular movie. It would make a lot of people want to watch the Oscars to see what happens, which obviously the Academy wants. But I'm pretty sure I've said this on the show. It was not a very good movie. It was not a good movie at all. I gave it a 4 out of 10. It was not scary. It was more funny than scary. And there was a lot of like scary faces at the camera, like it was supposed to be 3D, and it was like not. It was just not scary. It's like, ooh, look at me, I'm trying to be scary, and like Pennywise shaking and running at the camera and at characters, just very. It wasn't scary. But I do think that the screenplay, which I've started reading, should get nominated for an Oscar. I think that would be very good. A horror movie that I would love to see get nominated for Oscars. You've heard me talk about it on the show before. It's Get Out. That movie should be nominated for Best Picture and Best Director and Best Original Screenplay, to be honest, for the Oscars. Realistically, the only nomination I see for Get Out would probably be Original Screenplay, and I would love for Jordan Peele to be nominated for that, and obviously I would love it to win. But yeah, for it, I don't really see it getting a nomination. I feel like Get Out has a better chance because of the whole Oscars so white controversy that's been going on. Not going on recently, but like in the past year. So I feel like Get Out has a better chance over it. well, that's it. That's the end of the show. I hope you'll join me here next week, same time, same place. And if you're not listening to this live, then you can listen on radiofreeradford.com at 5 p.m. on Fridays. And you can find all the topics that I've talked about today on my website, cutblackfilm.com. The link directly to the show notes will be in the description of this video. And you can also find tutorials that I write there as well. Those usually come out on Mondays. And as always, if you want to talk to me, then you can follow me on Twitter at cutblackfilm. Thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it. Make sure you like this video and subscribe and all that other stuff that YouTubers say to do. Tell your friends, tell your mom, tell your grandma, tell your uncle, tell everyone you know who you think would be interested in the show to come and check it out, subscribe, comment below if you think I should be adding anything or doing anything differently. I would love to hear feedback. Let me know what you think of any of the news topics that I've discussed today. Maybe you think I'm completely wrong about Star Wars and you think I don't know what I'm talking about. You should comment that below. But yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for listening. Bye until next week.